Hey, what's good? You are now watching Al Cobb Vlogs and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm telling you about my postal experiences and how I came from a RCA to where I'm at now. So let's get into the video. So if you watched my last video, of course it was about my experience and some of the troubles and trials that I have faced as a RCA, a rural carrier. And I started in the state of Georgia in the area that has 2 counties connected to it. So that was a great experience. It was a challenging experience, but it was a great experience. But before I move to this next part of my journey, let me go back one time. It used to be a time where we had to do something called Amazon Sunday, where you had to get a certain amount of packages and deliver them along this route that included 3 mail routes in one. So it just was packages only, always on a Sunday. You had to be there at 9 o'clock, and then the latest you could probably be there is like 3 o'clock. It depends on how much parcels or packages you have. So this one time, right? This one time. Now me, being a professional that I am, I stopped, but I shouldn't have stopped, but I didn't know. So one time on the Amazon Sunday, I'm delivering packages. I'm riding in this neighborhood. I'm delivering the packages to the door because you're enabled to do so on that day. And instead of being at the cluster box playing around, you'll go to the initial person's house. So I'm riding around this subdivision and this lady stops me. So I'm thinking to myself, why is this lady stopping me? Right? She probably has a question. So, okay. She stopped. She actually cut me off. Like, I'm looking at the travel on the scanner because they had it like that. And I'm looking at it, and then this lady just cuts me off, like while I'm in the truck. So I stop, and I'm looking like, and she gets out like she's mad, like she's aggravated, or she got a package for me or something. So I'm like, okay, I stop. And then she comes up to the window and I was like, hey, how you doing? She was like, I know you work for the Postal Service, but y'all need license plates too. And I was looking at her like, yo, what? Yo. She was like, I know y'all federal job and all of that, but y'all just can't be riding around the streets without license plates. And I was looking at her so dazed and confused, and I was actually mad she cut me off, because what she does not know is that the numbers on the truck is the license plate. And then she cuts me off to say this, and then she's like, oh, I'm gonna call the police and such, I'm gonna call your office and tell them they need license plates. And I'm looking like, why did I even stop? Like, why did I even stop? And it's sometimes people's gonna blow your mind with what they think is right, or they don't even know what's going on. Like, if she has such a fit and attitude, oh, you can't be riding around here in a postal vehicle with no license. Like, what are you talking about? You don't even know what you're talking about. And I didn't even argue with her. I was like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, yeah, I'll let them know. She lucky I was a professional. Because if I was somebody else and I was like, the way you cut me off, first of all, you could have caused an accident. And second of all, you coming at me like you want to attack me, which is like, it's a bad predicament to be in. But then you come with me with this bull crap. Oh my God. It blew my mind. Blew my mind. I don't even understand. But that was that. That's why I'm glad I'm not a carrier anymore. But moving on. So moving on to the next position that I had at USPS, I actually got a chance to move to the plant. And the plant has had its challenges. But the way that I got into the plant, initially, I was still a carrier. And it was around peak season, and this one plant needed help. So they sent us over to the plant, you know, if we needed hours or whatever. So we could only be there at the plant on our hours of operation. So you couldn't go in on a midnight tour, or you can only go in on the daytime, or we could stay till about, the latest was 8. So if you wanted to do the 12 hours, you would have did 8 to 8:30. I wasn't doing no 8 hours, yo. Because the difference between carrying, time moves fast. Carrying in the plant, the time moves so slow. Like, man, slow. I'm telling you, slow. When you carrying, time goes by so fast. You be like, dang, it's already 12 o'clock. In the plant, you like, man, it's 10 o'clock. Next thing you know, you think 15 minutes passed. Like, dang, it's only 10:02. Like, come on, man. It was horrible. It wasn't a bad experience because the work it wasn't as demanding as a carrier. But then again, it's like all the time. Like, man, it just feels like your life is being sucked away ounce by ounce. But I had that experience, right? And a couple of people that worked there, they talked to me, and they was like, a lot of people come here and they step into management, but if you want to be a part of management, go on with both feet. Don't half step it. Don't one toe it. Don't one foot in, one foot out. You go in all the way if that's what you want to do. But that's not the route that I actually wanted to do. So actually, I had the plant experience I knew I was going to get into, and my first interview was coming around that time. Actually, the very next day I had an interview. From that day of being on the plant, the very next day I had an interview, and I have to say, this interview, I didn't get it that time. Yep, I didn't get it that time. I was hoping and wishing, and I knew everything that I did wrong. What I did wrong was I was too talkative, I was too positive, I was doing way too much on this interview. And this is when they used to interview for those positions. So this was around the very last time that they was interviewing, doing that process in order to get into the plants, in order to be a mail handler. So I was doing way too much, way too happy over here, making friends, telling people like, oh yeah, you get like 60 hours. Yeah, it's the plant. It's going to be open all the time. Yeah, the work is... I was saying all of this stuff. Meanwhile, they paying attention, they watching me, they hear me talking. And then when they interview me, I'm over answering, I'm overly doing too much. They're like, you know what? You ain't get the job, homie. So I didn't get it that first time. And I was like, I was mad. I was defeated. I was like, man, I know I can't stay a carrier. Don't want to stay a carrier. Like, it's a hard toll on your body, and then the time is unmanageable. Like, sometimes you get out early as a carrier, but you can as a rural carrier. Sometimes once you complete your task, you could be done. Sometimes it goes way over, which is a headache because you don't know how your days are going to go. You don't know how it's going to pan out ultimately. So that's the thing about it. But so I stuck through and still was a rural carrier until I had another interview. I finally got my next interview, and that was around a few months later from that interview. So this time I went to the interview. I was quiet, wasn't making no friends. I just was listening to people talk. I would laugh to myself because they don't know what they talking about. Then when it was my turn to go up to the interview, I had the same person that I had the first time that I failed it. But this is what I did. I answered the question that was asked to me. I didn't do no extra. Well, the person I was interviewing, he was like, you look familiar. I did this with you before? And I was like, yes. She was like, yeah, I remember. And I'm like, you ain't hired me though. You ain't hired me that first time. Like, what's up? But like the main stuff they ask about is like availability and how are you, and they'll ask you like 4 questions maybe. But I know the main one was availability. or how is your attendance at your current job or stuff like that. And my attendance is perfect. My attendance is perfect. Every day that I'm guaranteed to be at the job, I was at the job. Every day. Like if I was to call and ask them, they'll tell you the same thing. Straight like that, yo. I was not playing around. Cut straight to the chase. So that's how I actually got hired. Boom. Now we're in this whole new world in the plant. But I knew how the plant go. Slow motion like hell. But this is what I faced when I first got into the plant. So I was supposed to be on another shift. I ended up on another shift because they messed up my paperwork. The fact that they messed up my paperwork, it kind of had me mad because they wasn't going to make this correction until they felt they needed to make this correction. And that's what bothered me like hell. I was on the graveyard shift, and on this graveyard shift, we was only in one operation, and this one operation felt like a freaking cotton field. And then the way they managed over there, it was so like bogus that they were so sporadic. They'll do what they want. They got their own interference. They do things their own way. They commanding certain people to go tell you to do some stuff. Like it was what I was not used to. I got spoiled by my postmaster. That's what it was. From the way that the postmaster, as me as a carrier, as they ran things, it was better than what I had to deal with. Also, as a carrier, you don't have to stay in the office all day and deal with it. You could, if you're not having a bad day and those managers are getting on your nerves, you could go out there on the route and you don't have to deal with them, which is great. In the plant, you got to deal with these people 25/8. I don't want to deal with these people like that. And then you got coworkers that some don't do nothing, and then some chatty patty, and then like it just was a lot going on. You know, you got the snitches, you got the manager's pet, you got the lazy ass people, and then you got the hard workers, and then you got the people that work hard, but when you go to help them, they get ghosts. So you got a lot of different stuff. I could say this about my experience. So in any job that I ever worked, except for like 2. Well, one was temporary, but except for like 2. In every job I ever worked, people always loved me. Always. Like I could always go back to my old job, even now, and people still love me, still show me love. But this was one place that was never gonna happen. It was more hate and negativity than I could imagine at that time. Did it get better over time? It started to. It started to get better once I understood what I needed to do. And usually it takes you only about 2 weeks to understand how a job goes. And there, you can see it right away. You can see what it is right away. And man, but they had us working some hours though. Like I was appreciative about the hours. My first day there, I did like 12 hours. And I was like, dang, 12 hours? I know this check gonna be sweet. Let me tell you what happened. Before I even got to the USPS, when I was at my previous job, I did something to where I was taking back more money before taxes. So that came around back to haunt me. And on my postal checks, it started to show. So the money that I would have been getting, it was locked off, and I had to pay this thing back. There you go. So be careful with your money, man. Be careful with your money and how you file this stuff, because that came around back to bite me. So when me working all of these hours, I was seeing like $400, $500 less than what I should have been seeing, which was like, it was a big blow because I worked hard for that money, man. I worked many hours. I missed a lot of time, you know. I was doing a lot of like just sleep because I was working the graveyard. So when I get home, I just would be sleeping. So it was a lot of that, you know. You just gotta be careful, be mindful. But it was a lot of hours. It was good, but that's one thing that actually took me back. But overall working that position and learning. So they messed me up, right? I was on the wrong shift in one operation. So they told me that I wouldn't be able to move to that other shift until they get more people. And then COVID happened and they didn't get more people till like late April, because I took some time off around my birthday. And then when I came back, it was some new people there. And it was like about time. So I didn't actually get to where I needed the shift I needed to be on until like May. So I got on the shift that I needed to be on in May. And then from May all the way until we converted career, I was on that same shift. And I was on that shift all the way until actually, so that was like a year and a half. Because I got to a point, once we converted regulars, I got to a point to where I felt like I was in a dark hole. Like, couldn't get better. I wasn't getting smarter. I wasn't progressing in life. Like, I'm at the same point, actually becoming career. It lowered the money that we was making because we wasn't getting the overtime, wasn't getting the hours that we was used to, wasn't getting the same amount of pay that we were used to. And it became a blow, you know? So I needed a change. So I actually changed and I went to the daytime. When I went to the daytime, it's actually less money, but it was more beneficial to me for my body. You know, it was more beneficial to me for my body, my mind, my mindset. And I was actually like, I was doing good. But that shift even sucked because it was from 9 to 6:30. So that was taking up pretty much all your day. Like, you get there at 9 in the morning and you're there to 6:30. Like, bro, who wants to be here all the way to 6:30, bro? So I had to figure something out and get up off of that. So I initially got off of that, like, you know, a few months later, and then I went to the graveyard shift again, but this time it was different. Better communication, people work together. Of course, they still had their haters around, but we still worked together. We got the job done. Our managers were better. The time was better. You know, it worked out for me at home, and the money was steady. So we was good. I was good. And then the days off I was blessed. With the days off I had Saturday night off and Sunday night off. So once I get off of Saturday morning, I had that night off. And man, we was partying. We was going places. I felt free. I had way more fun. I had a great time. I grew. And then a few months later from that, next thing you know, well, I worked that for like a year and some change. And then, you know, a year and some change. And then when some change happened, that's when I came over to maintenance. And that's when I'll see you on the next video to explain to you my experiences in maintenance. Thank y'all for sticking through to this video. Make sure y'all hit the like, comment your experiences as well. I want to read some of y'all stories and some of y'all experiences. And share this with a friend or a family member. And I'll see y'all on the next video from when I went to maintenance for the first time. Yeah, holla. We over and out of here.